everyone, my name is PrimeTime Moff and I am joined by my illustrious co-host, Oddimus Prime. And whether you're watching or indeed listening to us, we welcome you to our weekly show, Transformers 84 to 24, 40 years of rolling out. A show that in the year of the brand's 40th anniversary, we're taking the time to look back through each year, delving through this incredible history, learning a lot and spending a lot, as we realise post TFN. So if you're new to the show, we'll be covering each year, as I say, every week we cover a different year in detail. So please make sure you turn on your notifications, like, subscribe, to make sure you don't miss out any of this amazing content. Simon, how are you?
Still tired.
Yes, I feel you very much on that. The TFN recovery took a little longer. I think it, for those that don't know, we were both working in the Trader Hall behind the PrimeTime Toys stall. This is our second year doing it. I think a lot of our excitement last year pulled us through last year.
Yeah.
And also, to be fair, this year was busy, like crazy busy. I remember looking at my watch because I had intentions of getting some signatures. I thought I'll try and knock them out apart when we go quiet. And I looked at my watch and it was 3:30, and I was like, "What? Where did that go?" But it was great fun. And a new setup, but a really enjoyable setup. I thought the TFN crew did really well, and I know there's been a lot of chat this week about whether the venue is the right venue going forward. How can they change? How can they adapt? And the one thing I have faith in is TFN crew. When they look and make decisions, they're making it in the best interest. I think they will start tweaking it. But for me personally, I'm kind of glad if they don't have any considerations of moving further away. I think Birmingham's not what everybody was saying, over the last week. So like, it's the middle of the country, and I'm like, middle of what country? Because it's closer to the bottom of the country than it is to the actual middle of the country. But okay, middle of the country. But that being said, it's a long drive, it's a long day down for us, but it's an easy drive. I literally, if I was just going to NEC for myself, I would leave my house, I'd get on the M74, and the next junction I come off at is for the NEC. So, for that purpose, whilst it's a long drive, comparison to going to like other parts of the country, it's a very easy drive. So,
yeah.
But yeah, it was tiring. We'll go. Why don't we quickly just do a wee quick highlight from TFN? I think that'd be a good thing to do.
Yeah.
We're watching this post TFN. I think my highlights are going from a business standpoint. It was a very successful weekend, but it was also very enjoyable to give Andy from Transformers Show the chance to be behind the stall. We had that joy. So Paddy, Greg, and I had that at Minicon last year for the first time. Then getting to see you do it on the big one last year, that was really exciting, really fun.
Yeah.
And then getting the chance to see, for you, then you getting to also see Andy have that experience and getting into that trader hall when it's empty, and then seeing it come to life is something totally different to the idea of just being in there. And then personal wise, I bought more Transformers this year than I've ever done. I spent more than I've ever done. But I also, and we'll talk about it when we get to the kind of through the toy releases. I bought more G1 toys this year than I've ever done. And I think I have to say, I've never really been desperate to go back and pick up a lot of G1. This show has made me have that desire to go pick up G1 stuff and others. There's a lot of the toys I bought this year that were influenced by this show, and in fact, Andy gave me a very kind gift purely based on this show, and that was a G1 Cyclonus, because he remembered me talking about it on this as being a toy I'd love to experience. So
That was really good.
Overall, a really good experience. What about yourself, Simon?
For me, the sort of twofold highlights. Again, working on the stand, it's so much fun. It's really nice interacting with people. I don't normally necessarily go out and talk to people just about, and I'm not massively chatty in the bar or anything like that either. So it's nice for people coming up and having a bit of a chat and everything else. So that was really good. I love working on the stand, and Andy was a really good addition to the team. So that was awesome. In terms of other highlights, and this isn't it's a TFN highlight, but it's also not technically TFN. This is the good thing anyway. One of the stands sort of opposite us was a Japanese guy selling like Japanese exclusives and stuff like that. And he had a lucky draw Transformers Prime, Optimus Prime. That's ridiculously low numbers of those in the world. And I did have a look at it. He brought it over and I had it in my hands and I got to take a photo of it. It was all boxed and lovely. I couldn't buy it. I did send a picture to my wife, and she said, "Are you buying that?" And I said, "No, it costs £1,800." And she said,
Wow.
"Oh, I thought you said 80. I thought it said £18." Yeah, I don't think she would have been too pleased if I had chucked that on the credit card. I did grab a couple of other bits from that guy, including the Toys R Us Jeffrey Prime, which is bonkers and amazing, and I'm going to do a retro review of it this week because it's just awesome. And yeah, that's about it. I was quite restrained with what I bought, and I did the majority of my spending first thing on Saturday morning, and then sort of made the decision to not do so much after that, and that worked out well. I spent less money, but it also meant that I didn't look too hard. So when Moff turned up on Saturday with three primes I'd somehow missed, that definitely would have bought if I'd seen them first. Um, but that's part of the parcel. But yes, yeah, it's just great to catch up with people. It's great to have a chat. In terms of the sort of social side of it, obviously because we're working at the stand, we're not having the wandering around, sitting at the bar, nattering during the day, or necessarily going to panels. We had opportunities to do so, but we, most part, just stayed at the stand because it was busy.
It really was uber busy, wasn't it?
Yeah, on the Sunday was less so, but the Saturday was intense. But anyway, yes, that's enough of my thoughts on TFM for now.
There was one really cool bit from from our channel point of view, and that was our celebrity listener.
Oh yes.
I got pulled aside by Michael Charles Hill, who said, "You're Moff, aren't you?" Which was really surreal. And then he explained that he'd been watching our videos in the lead up to TFN and was really enjoying the content on the channel, which was really surreal, a surreal experience. So, Michael, if you're watching, thank you very much for the kind comments. I did honestly think that the boys were, playing a practical joke on us and having a laugh, but no, it was a very, very kind word. So, thank you very much for that. So,
Yeah.
let us bring us back to the year 2003. An interesting period. We were talking about this beforehand, that for me, this was a challenging year. I was unemployed for the vast majority of it. And as I said to you, I just stopped going to Toys R Us because when you go to Toys R Us and see really nice toys and you don't have pennies in your pocket, it can be a very painful experience. So there was stuff that I missed that I definitely would have picked up, and actually things that I then picked up at TFN this past weekend. But it was a kind of interesting year for the show. It was Armada, was still on the go, because I think, as we talked about before, that's the point where you kind of get a bit of crossover each year of a little bit Armada and some more kind of Energon, but TV wise, it was Armada. And the interesting bit from you, and I think back to these cartoons, Armada had 52 episodes. When you think of what's the current word, Earthspark, it has so little episodes in a series,
Yeah.
that compared to 52 episodes over so much. And they're just, although they're 17 to 52 commit this year, it wasn't like a series. It's 52 episodes, and they're just kind of essentially spread them over the start in 2002 and finish in 2003. So it's a huge chunk of content that's produced to support these toys that come out that year.
Yeah, I mean, I'll fully admit I have not seen all of Armada. Again, as you said, it's a bit of a funny period in that I'm sort of dipping in and out of stuff. I'm buying more toys, it turns out. when we go back and look through the toys. And that gets more so in Energon. But also there's lots of really great stuff comes out this year. But the series, again, I wasn't taken by it when it first started, and therefore that sort of I never really got back into it.
Mhm.
It is, I mean, they're all on my list to go back and rewatch, but yeah, I'm more familiar with Energon out of the trilogy. I think I saw more of Energon than the other two. Um, yeah, I couldn't see where it was going to go,
Mhm.
and the again, it's very anime style. It's very Japanese, and at that point, I wasn't particularly enamored by it. But yeah, we did have lots
Yeah.
of comics though.
Yes, we did. We did. And if I'm right, the Armada Dreamwave comic was written by Simon Furman. Well, I say if I'm right, I know I'm right because I went to pick up the when I had that realization, I was like, I need to get these. So I have been trying to track down the omnibus edition
Mhm.
because I've got the kind of omnibus of the World Within stuff, and I thought the wee books are really good to then have in hand. So it's still on my list. It's still not been picked up. I've still not went back and listened, read them. And I didn't. I think I watched the first handful of episodes when they first aired of the show. Didn't really engage with it. I didn't pick up the comics when they first came out. Totally was disengaged. I said that on our last episode, 2002. But last year I picked up a couple of toys and made me go, I'm going to go back and watch some of the show. And I made it through a fair chunk of the show. Never finished it, and I should go back and finish it because I've never watched any of the other two. I've never watched any Energon or Cybertron, so I should really finish Armada. But I would like to get back and finish the comics. But this is the point where Dreamwave was in full flow, really producing a heavy amount of stuff. We then had Devil's Due producing a G.I. Joe and
Yeah.
Transformers, and I always love a G.I. Joe Transformers comic, so I have all of them. The other interesting bit at this point was, and I don't know if you've played it, but the in Japan there was a PS2 version of Transformers came out. It was Japan only. It never got the UK, the Western release. It was in conversation to have a Western release, but didn't eventually get one. And it's more a G1-esque style one,
Mhm.
which I remember picking up without a way to play it for the longest time. It wasn't until I chipped my PlayStation 2 and I couldn't even play the game directly. I had to make it a copy of the game and then play it. But I think I had it on my shelf for about 3-4 years before I actually got to play it. But it was still cool to have a G1 version. The game's not amazing, but it's not terrible. And it's a shame that so little people would have got a chance to experience it, because it never got that Western release, and it was only a Japanese. And it's interesting because it's all in English dialogue, and it has got English subtitles, so you can actually play it as if it was a Western game, but it just never had that release.
Yeah, I remember seeing it in magazines and stuff, but I've never played it. Yeah, I remember being annoyed that I couldn't. But it's all right, we get one soon.
Yeah, and actually, well, you're saying you've not played it. We should hook that up for TFN next year. I'll bring my
Oh,
PlayStation down and we could hook
nice.
that up. I will absolutely not remember that, but I'll try. And I think there is so many elements as we start to now get into the very busy period of Transformers, and we're going to certainly talk about it when we get to the toys of exclusives, and not just store exclusives, but country exclusives.
Mm.
And we think back to the kind of mid 90s before Beast Wars, where there was so little coming out, it would be easy to keep up with toys. This is the point where you can start to see it become a bit crazy. And just before we touch on the toys, there's 6 toys released under 6 different brands of Transformers in this year, which is absolutely mental. We went through that dark period where it started to fade away.
Mm.
We see it get a revival through Beast Wars into RID, and then that's the point where they're going to go, let's hit a bit of everything. Which I think that again, the point where I was personally at this when I didn't have the money, it was overwhelming and becoming a bit like, oh, I just want to get so much more. So I was very selective on what I picked up. But I also think that meant that I appreciate the toys so much more. So let's go into the toys, unless you want to touch on the comics any further.
No, that's all good.
Superb. Okay, so let's talk about the toys then. And we're going to start with a new line. You know, there are multiple new kind of bits in this line, but this is the year that Alternators launches. And I don't know if there's been a better first toy for a line than Alternator Smokescreen. Alternator Smokescreen, in my opinion, is the best alternator. It's one of the best toys. It is absolutely stunning in both modes. It looks like a proper Impreza in its alt mode, but in robot mode has such great character. Fun transformations, just stunning, stunning bots. And as I said, it's such a right, we're going to set our stall out. We're going to do proper toys, proper alt mode, proper cars with real branding on them, licensed vehicles. And we're going to start it with something that just looks this good. You look at for me, I look at the sponsors on it as well. It's not as if it's, just a branded car. They've went with the real sponsors and stuff. It is a supreme toy. Your thoughts on Alternator, Simon?
I remember, because around this time was when I started like finding websites related to Transformers and stuff like that. So I remember seeing the Vinyl Tech one of this. I think it was a toy fair. I can't remember where I saw it, but I saw this and MPO1 were around about the same time in Japan, and I was just blown away. That it just such amazing posable transformations. I mean, it looks like the Datsun mold from G1. It has the same similar transformation. It's blatantly smokescreen, but also it's that amazing rally version of the Subaru with all the iconic designs on the side and everything. It's just superb, absolutely superb. Can't quite say I was so impressed by Sideswipe.
No, I never picked up Sideswipe because I was like,
No.
I'm not. There are some beautiful toys in the Alternators line, but there's some that I was just like, I'm not connecting with this, and Sideswipe probably was one of them. I also liked in these, and they do it throughout the engine guns and accessories and stuff. A really clever line,
Yeah.
So let's move on then to our next ever lines. So this one, we talked briefly about exclusives. This is the point where exclusives really kick in. The RID line kind of continues without any cartoon, without anything, just releasing, and it is repaints throughout. Bar one. Well, but one's a repaint, but it's a repaint of an unreleased toy, if I'm right, the Megabolt Megatron.
Yeah.
So you've got KB exclusive sets, and we reckon this was the first G-Axis. I can't think of a version of G-Axis, which is very cool. Very cool to see that. And then piles more Spy Changers. And I had the original Spy Changers, and the more we've done this show, the more I go, I think I want more Spy Changers, which is not a good. And the G2 original versions of it, and I know that there's further releases of these molds that look even better, but the tiny tins, I remember seeing them and just thinking, these are really clever. They're just it's just fun. I love when a repaint does it so well that you're like, I already have this mode, but I'll buy it again. And I could easily do that with the Spy Changers are done so well. The stealth modes are gorgeous. And then the way they release these tiny tins, very, very clever.
Yeah, I mean they're all just really gorgeous figures. And the as you say, the Spy Changes, there's just so many different repaints. I mean, there's so few molds, but there's so many different versions of them.
Yeah.
And again, I said it before, I love a transparent toy, and these stealth mode ones just look lovely. But it's cool as well with Bludgeon, the repaint of what's his name, Archforce, that was Megatron, and of course Scourge as Hero Optimus Prime. Those are really, really nice. But the one really fascinating one is the Megapult Megatron, which is the second version, another version of Megatron from Beast Machines. So you had the one that was the cloaked dragon mode with his hidden dragon mode. Yeah, it's the second one. And then there's this one as his weird giant head version, the spider head. But apparently, allegedly, you can headmaster it.
You can, yeah.
Which is quite cool with a Fort Max. So that's sweet. But yeah, it's weird that almost 2 years after Robots in Disguise had ended, they added an additional run of them, but all exclusives. So yeah.
But I also think it kind of continues what the RID was all about. It was legacy before legacy. It was the kind of best of series. It was taking molds. That Jaxus mold is one of the best molds from Beast Machines, and you're really in a funky orange, which is always going to be fun. But Jaxus. Then your list, the Scourge there is just gorgeous. You're never going to get a bad Scourge in the colours, the red windscreens. And then we haven't touched on Dreadwind the Smoke Jumper. Again, two fun toys with 73 billion missiles that you lost them before you'd even opened. You'd lost one before you'd even opened the packaging. But again, both great fun toys. So you've taken this line, does the same again, a bit of everything, a bit of G2, a bit of G1, a bit of kind of Beast Machines. The line continues to, even in its death, do the best of molds and funky colours and new characters. All right, let's move on to the next branding. So this is the Built to Rule, maybe not remembered fondly for good reason, but this is the first real attempt at a kind of Lego-esque version of Transformers, and I don't know what nice things to say about it. I only had the one. I got the one from a pound stretcher, dirt cheap, and I'm sure it was the Night Attack Demolisher. It wasn't the Demolisher, but it was the one with treads, and I still have bits of it somewhere. But I was not impressed in the slightest. I was like, this is not fun.
I had Smokescreen. So 2003, I got married in 2003, and we had our honeymoon in Florida. So I got a few bots, not a huge amount, but I did get a few. And Smokescreen we saw in, I think, a Walmart or something. It was just I needed to buy it. I don't know why. And
don't ever question that need to buy. I've got a toy business.
Yeah.
Well, question why.
Dude, we don't need to have that conversation. But yeah, the problem is with that particular one, and I can't say it's exactly true for all the others, but the car mode, or the construction vehicle, whatever it is, mode, it's almost flat.
Yeah.
It's like it's really, really two-dimensional. And then the robot mode is the same. It's almost two-dimensional. There's no protruding bits. And they weren't good.
No, they lost a lot of their character that the original toys had.
I do need to get Prime at some point.
Just because.
But they're just, and it's funny because I don't know what it is. Nobody has quite yet managed to hit the sweet spot with Transformers themed construction toys. Even the most recent Lego one, the Prime, I love it because it's Lego and it's Optimus Prime, but it's not perfect.
No.
And it's not. No. I've seen people build their own ones that look better, and there's Chinese knockoff ones.
Yeah, I was going to say that the kind of Optimus and Soundwave from the Bumblebee movie. The two of them are pretty fun.
They're really great figures. The only issue with them is that they're KO Lego, so therefore it's not as well produced as normal Lego, so it tends to just fall apart. But yeah, with Build to Rule, and then with Creo, and then the actual Lego ones, there hasn't been an official Transformers Lego set that I've got my hands on. I haven't got the Bumblebee yet. That I've actually gone, yeah, this is amazing. I love it. But these are the worst.
The only good thing I think when I look at it is the fact that they actually still came with their minicons.
Yes.
They didn't just ditch that. So I like the continuation of that, but I think we'll just move on from them and forget about them.
Let's just move on. Yeah.
So let's kick on to Armada. So this is kind of the end of Armada before it re-energizes.
Nice.
Not really. Let's be honest, it really wasn't. But in this, you kind of got some repaints and then kind of new molds. I like the one mold I picked up last year. The first time round, I was like, it's okay. But I really enjoyed last year was the Starscream mold. And I do have the Starscream Skywarp, and I'd like to pick up a Thunder Cracker just to have the 3, because once you've got 2, you need the 3. But there's nothing needs to be more said about the Armada Megatron mold in the Galvatron colours. It's lovely. I picked that up last year. I've never experienced the Jetfire, so I don't know. I can't really talk on that.
I'll talk about Jetfire. The Jetfire is yeah. So no. There's good points and there's bad points. I really like the shuttle mode. It looks amazing. It's a great big chunky wedge-shaped shuttle, obviously inspired by a proper space shuttle. It kind of gives me vibes, especially the front part of. Do you remember the 70s Buck Rogers TV series? Mm-hmm. In the first episode, he's in his shuttle, and it looks more like that because it's not a real shuttle. It's differently designed. Anyway, it always reminds me of that, and that's fine. But then you take the gigantic engine off, which has got a light up feature for reasons, and then his robot mode is not great. I mean, really, he's intended to be a combined mode with Optimus, and it reeks of that because a lot of his other modes are sort of sacrificed a bit because of it. I hate that big giant engine gun. It looks stupid. It's just daft. But yeah, then I really hate his head sculpt as well. I mean, I really don't like that figure. But he serves very well as Optimus Prime's trousers, which is where mine has been for getting on for 20 years. And then they released a repaint to go with to go with the repaint Prime. So you have another set of Prime trousers.
And it's interesting because I didn't know this at the time when the Transformers movies did the Jetfire and Optimus combining. I totally fell away from the Armada line at that point, so I didn't know that. And I was like, oh, that's a cool idea. And they then was like, oh, it's actually not the first time that's been done. I was like, oh, okay, Jetfire and Optimus combining. Oh, I didn't know that.
I don't quite to this day understand why they didn't have Jetfire transform into some kind of jet mode, but no, it's just trousers. But also Overload obviously also combines with Prime. You've had a bit of experience with Overload, haven't you?
Yeah, well, not not the red version. It was, and I've got my stuff on my desk actually. And one thing I'd hoped to pick up at TFN was a replacement leg guard, or shin guard, because this toy has been. I've had it, then my eldest have it, and then my youngest, and it is a brick. So other than losing that one bit, it's been used throughout. The sound effects but it still works, which I just think is amazing. I'm going to see if I can get the mic to pick it up because it's just outstanding. Like, that's just, I remember the first time I experienced that and I was like, that's so clever. I think it's a very, very clever repaint. And I think it's a fun mold, and I very much hope that Fans Hobby are going to do a repaint of it.
Yes.
And I'll pick up on that. And I think there is that aspect that through Armada, and Energon, more so seeing the pictures, that there's clearly they've taken some really good molds and repainted them into funky versions like the Galvatron. Like, we're going to see Tidal Wave in 2 versions. Tidal Wave, I've never experienced the original version. I've only experienced the Energon version. But a great toy. But they are very good at repainting, and obviously, your Skywarp, Thundercracker, and Starscreamer repaints. What I quite like is the fact that they didn't go, we'll just repaint the minicons as well, because I think the Skywarp one is a different one. It's like a wee jet type thing as well. Whereas I think the Thundercracker one, that's the a repaint just of the Starscream one. That came with just a wee race car. And then you've got Transmel 2 Megatron. Just let's repaint him and throw him in, which seemed totally out of sync of what Armada was doing. It doesn't really fit in the same style. They've all got this big blocky aesthetic, and then you've got Predacon.
Yeah, it was a bit odd. And also, I think they were really preying on those who started to collect minicons. I know a few minicon collectors, and the fact that you've got all of the basic figures come with a minicon, all of the repaints come with a different version of the minicon, so you've got to get all of those as well. And then all of the a lot of the redeco figures came with either an alternate minicon, or they came with 2 minicons. So ones that were sort of smaller sized to stick them into a larger into a larger size thing. They stuck a couple of minicons in there, which are unique. So that was a good sales tactic by Hasbro for those who are like us, very much collector orientated. But I was just thinking, I had lots and lots of the Armada Energon figures, less so the Cybertron. But looking at this, it's made I've remembered that I completely steered clear of any repaints. I only bought the figures that were new molds, or new molds to me. Now, I didn't get Overload like you. I got Ultra Magnus. But all of the rest of those, out of those, the only figures I actually bought were Tidal Wave and Jetfire. The rest of them I left on the shelves because I already had a version of the mold. Yeah, I probably would have got around to picking out Skywarp and Thundercracker, but my wife probably wanted me to save money for honeymoons and things. I know, terrible.
Let's move on. So talking about minicons. Minicons. The fact that you get again repaints of minicon teams as well. It's like, yeah, we are absolutely going to reuse as much money as possible. And actually, there's one in this that gives me the same vibes as I remember the first time I saw an online picture of the Ultra Magnus repaint of Overlord. I went, "Oh, that's really cool." I wonder if I'll pick that up. And then the first time I saw it in person, I was like, I need to have this. This is really nice. And again, as I say, it is genuinely one of my favourite toys because it just feels such a good fun toy. There's one in this that I remember seeing the grey prototype of and being like, wow, look how nice that looks. It looks like good articulation, looks the detail in it. It was amazing. And it was a minicon, and it blew me away. And it's I don't know what its name is. I should have probably checked. I only know that he gets repainted, and it's in the Air Military Team, and it's the kind of stealth jet, the longer one. The way he transforms and the way he poses. I know there's a Shockwave repaint of him down the line, and that has been on my want list for a long while. But that I have had 3 or 4 versions of it at different points, so I could have it in the 2 modes. I took one and I used my Warhammer paints to bring out the detail, and I think that's the thing that's lost in a lot of these, is actually, see, when it's just the kind of smaller ones as well, when they maybe don't put the full detail of paint in it, you lose a lot of the detail. Compare it to the Beast Wars basics. I talked about that when we did the Beast Wars basics, that you open them up and you saw so much detail and that paint application in their face, at the point where when some of the weird ones are only giving them, blocky colours, you're missing. And these have decent paint apps on them, but there's so many little details that are lost because of that.
Yeah, again, I think one of the things I really like about minicons is that not only are they decent vehicle modes, serviceable robots for the most part, but they've also, a lot of them have got like a third mode. So obviously the air assault team is the Star Saber, the air military team. Some of them have got different like weapon modes. The same with the emergency team. Um, the fire truck opens up and you've got missile launchers in there that you can stick on your bots left, right, and center, and other things like the road wrecker team. All of those figures have got like a friction motor in them. Well,
Really?
but when you roll them, like the saw goes round or the drill bit goes
That's
round.
amazing.
I think the guns pew pew
That's
on the
brilliant.
tank version one. They're amazing. There's so many really fun things with minicons. No, don't let me think about this too much because otherwise I'll start collecting them. In fact, let's get rid of this slide because I'm
Okay.
starting to have thoughts.
So then we come on to a little bit more of repaints. So there's a pile of repaints again. Some Beast Wars in this one coming out. That the Nemesis Prime repaint again. Scourge stroke Nemesis Prime repaints, in my opinion, take a shitty Optimus and make them look terrible. But I genuinely don't know if I've ever seen a black version of Optimus Prime that I've not went, oh, I really like that. And
Yeah.
it like you with the minicons, I could easily fall into that trap and buy stuff that are just repaints, and I try not to because that's a bit flipping mental. But a lot of repaints in this, a lot of repaints. So you're probably better to place to tell us what the non-repaints were.
Yeah, I'll just quickly go through them. So we've got Air Razor Cheetor from Beast Wars Transmetals, not Transmetals 2, which are packaged with a minicon in horrible colours, unless you like purple. They're very purple. Cyclonus and Demolisher both got a repaint from the first wave. Hotshot as well. And then there's also Rhinox and Pterosaur from Transmetals. And then Thrust and Thrust, two repaints of the same figure in the same year. Brilliant. Wheeljack, I think, was an original mold. I never had him, but I think he was an original mold. Laserbeak was an original mold turned into a camcorder, which was cool and very much of its time. Sideswipe was a new mold. He had a fun feature where his the motorbike went places in his and he has possibly one of the single worst robot modes I've ever seen, and he is so far removed from other versions of Sideswipe. It's horrendous. Red Hotshot was very nice. And Nemesis Prime. Now, I could be wrong on this, but he might be the first official mainline Nemesis Prime
Rather
named
Scourge.
Nemesis Prime. I could be wrong on that,
Oh.
but as far as mainline's concerned, I think he was. He is just a straight repaint of Armada Deluxe or Supercon Optimus Prime with the same jet rather than the spark plug car that you get with
Nice.
the other one.
Nice.
Yeah, it's an and Hoist. Hoist is the other one. Hoist had
New mold.
yes, he's quite fun actually. He has an action which does the scoop on the old
Nice.
on the arm. He's quite cool. But yeah, so it was just Hoist, Laserbeak, Sideswipe, Wheeljack were new. So out of a wave of what 14 figures, 4 were new. The rest were repaints and redecos.
It's interesting when you think about the new one. So Laserbeak, I always remembered getting the Laserbeak because I'm a Soundwave guy, so I was like, I'm going to always get Soundwaves and Laserbeaks and stuff. Got that, and it just totally switched me off, and I was like, this is awful. I don't think I had it very long, and I sold it because I was just like, this is awful. However, I picked it up 2 years ago and absolutely love the thing. Because I don't need it to be Laserbeak now. We've had 93 million Laserbeaks that are perfect. I do not need laser. So a reimagining of a spy that does that. I just thought this is brilliant. Like I thought this is actually great. And I had a conversation with the Triple Takeover lads at the weekend at TFNation on the same conversation of at the time it's a switch off to Transformers, but now you don't need it, and you can enjoy it. And I think that's a good bit now.
Yeah.
Doing this show has been very exciting and interesting for me. Getting back and going, there's toys in here. I now look and go, I'd like to experience that I would never have picked up in the time had I not touched. But now I go, ooh, I kind of want to try that.
The thing that put me off about Laserbeak when he came out was that he's a role play toy. He's human sized, which means how can he be on the shelf with my? I mean, scales out the window for the most part anyway. But you know, you got your robot mode Autobots, and you got Laserbeak, who is a gigantic bird or a gigantic. I mean, you can.
I was going to say, if we get role play items in the very first year in 1984, where it doesn't really, the alt modes don't comparison. So,
but I mean, again, this is 2003 me going, that's stupid. Whereas 2024 me is going, I kind of really want one now. Anyway, moving on.
TFN next year, we're going to get you a Laserbeak, because honestly, it was the thing I picked up in 2002 that I had the most fun with, because I was just like, oh, how fun this is, showing it to my son and just being like, how crazy and weird is this? And it's orange, because nothing says in disguise like an orange camcorder.
That's true.
But see, you can get a Megatron with an orange tip. If you can sell a blooming orange camcorder, you can sell a Megatron with an orange tip. Anyway. And then we go on to Supreme Class. Super Class is just a repaint, but a repaint that, as I said to you before the show, I would pick up so I could have that original. I look back and go, I think I enjoyed that toy more than I realised at the time, and I would like to experience that again with the kind of super pants trousers. Didn't like it at the time, but I think for now it would be good. And I have the legacy one, so I don't need that version. So this would be interesting. But
yeah,
look at a Unicron.
Let's skip over Unicron. We'll come back to him later.
It's a Unicron.
Yes.
But the line that I probably feel I wish I had money at the time for more than anything out of this was the commemorative stuff. You know, the commemorative line. I did at the end of the year pick up 2 PCs when I got a job. I got a job at the end of 2003 and managed to go on a proper spending spree. And I got Power Master Optimus Prime with Apex Armor and Autobot Jazz. Sadly, I had to sell it. I didn't have to. I sold my Power Master Prime when I was saving for our wedding. But at TFN, I repurchased it. And putting it together this week was just everything I remember of how outstanding it was. I had Power Master Prime when I was younger. It didn't survive a house move, so I only had high Q. So getting that, taking it home, I remember being excited. I had the exact same feeling about all the toys I picked up at the weekend. That was a toy I was so looking forward to opening back up again. It was from the guys at Kapow Toys, where I spent most of my money at the weekend. Most of these came from there, but I picked that up, and it was a supreme experience. He's sitting behind me, and I'm just enamored by him. The same feeling I had 20 something years ago when I picked it up for the first time. Probably the same feeling I had the first time I picked up Power Master Prime. This might upset you, but I think Power Master Prime is the best version of Optimus Prime, and that toy with its Apex armor is just gorgeous.
No, Power Master Prime is my favorite Optimus Prime.
Okay, you're
That's
right.
my first Optimus Prime. So we got these were Toys R Us exclusives. It's Ultra Magnus and Prime in the first wave, which snapped those up. I got the Apex Armor one that you got. I got Starscream. I got Jazz. Silver Streak I never saw over here. I did get him. I got him in Toys R Us in America when I was over there for my honeymoon. I picked up 2, one for me and one for my mate, who also loves Blue Streak. So he's actually my only G1 Silver Streak. I have a box of Blue Streak, Silver Streaks, whatever you want to call him, that needs to find a shelf somewhere, but there's too many Optimus Primes in here. And I picked up a couple of others. I can't remember which other ones I had. I think I had Trax. I think I had Inferno, but it gets a bit fuzzy because I was also picking up some of the the Japanese reissues as well.
The brick box ones, they were
Yeah,
beautiful.
so I can't remember which ones I had from which line, but I had a few of these anyway because my G1s had long since gone. Anyway, moving on.
I picked up a load of these at the weekend. I picked up Silver Streak, Prowl, Inferno, and Grapple at the weekend, as well as my Power Master Prime. But yeah, these were very nice. I'd love to have picked up a Seekers, but I didn't. So we then launch into Energon, and we kick off with some repaints, some beautiful repaints. We've already talked about Ultra Magnus again. I think that's one of the best repaints and uses of a mold. Like almost, we talk about that now of things like Thrilling 30s, Springer, and Sandstorm, where you kind of clearly see where the mold was originally designed for. I feel as if this mold was designed for Ultra Magnus, and just if you release it as Ultra Magnus first, who's going to buy the second version? That's what that felt like. However, Tidal Wave just glorious because, like you, I love a bit of clear plastic and I love funky ass green. There's just something about it. I picked it up at my very didn't even know who he was, but I picked him up at my very first lot assembly because he was standing there and he just looked epic. And I don't have a desire for the new Tidal Wave because he's not in those colours, because I don't really have a connection to the toy, the original toy. I have a connection to this because I remember going, this is great fun, that's a fun toy. I would buy that in the new bits. The Rapid Run, I really, having seen this when we first started prepping this recording, I want that toy. The yellow. Do you know what it reminds me of? And I'm just realising why I think I want it. Tiger Force.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, no, that's a good call. Again, it's fun with the two minicons who combine to make a bigger robot, but also can be two different variations of head for rapid run or sideways. Either way, there is quite a bit of clear plastic in Energon. Starscream also has it because he's now. I'm a bit fuzzy on this, but he died, or did he die in Armada? Maybe not. That might be later on. Anyway, he's got like sort of broken parts that all have clear plastic in them, and he's got these cool Energon weapons. And his robot mode is awesome. He's a really nice little posable figure. I really, really like the Starscream in this line. And Inferno and Hotshot, which we haven't mentioned yet, the Energon series gimmick was that everything combines. But not in the way we're used to. You basically have a bot that's made up of two other bots, and some of them can go both ways, and some of them can only go one way. But basically, it's trousers and top half. They're fun, they're interesting, and we'll do more on that when we get to Energon properly. And here's some more Energon.
Which is a wee bit more of repaints in this as well.
There's two repaints. Although the Energon Star Saber is more of a remold. All the different minicons themselves have got extra little wings and stuff stuck on them to make them look a bit more space age and futuristic and funky. And now they're in what could be described rudely, but translucent yellow plastic, which is not, I wouldn't say is the best look. Going for a lightning thing, but it kind of looks like a wee popsicle. Yeah, and then you've got Omnicrons, which are a subset of the Autobots, and they have all sorts of interesting funky weapons that all combine together. And the Terracons, who are some of the bad guys in this era, they're quite fun. Ironhide, who I just hate him. I hate everything about that figure. I had him, and I tried to like him, but his truck mode looks stupid because he has that ridiculous giant red thing on the back. Some sort of speaker thing. I think it fires a missile, and it's stuck to his head. You can't take it off. It's part of him. It makes noises, which I seem to remember being rubbish. It looks just daft, and it's in his robot mode as well. And I hate him. And again, it's another one of those. Let's use a G1 name, but have a character who is so completely nothing like his G1 counterpart, and I hated him. Hated him. Jetfire was cool, but I never had it.
I picked up a Ravage at one of the auto assemblies, and I found a fun toy. And then I said, yeah, I've just picked up Strong Arm. When I did that challenge with Jamie at TFN in 22, Strong Arm was one of those toys. And actually, kind of fun wee toy. Again, when you go back to these toys years later, and they don't have to be what you want, what you were expecting at the time, and you're just going into it fresh. I think there's some fun experiences to be had. Probably not Ironhide, it sounds like.
I'm probably being slightly unfair to Ironhide, to be honest. Again, he has the gimmick that he combines with another bot. He can be arms, I think. I don't think he can. Oh, you can, actually, I think he can be both. The gimmick for the smaller figures was you had the Energon chip that clips onto their like spark on the figures, which was quite a cool little gimmick. And the Energon weapons, so clear, translucent plastic, fun times. And then finally, there's Treadbolt, who character-wise is a female character, one of the few female Transformers at the time. Although you do get quite a few more with Energon and Armada than we had in previous iterations. But she's a replay of whichever was it, Scavenger? Was the replay one from the previous line?
Yes.
Yeah, but she's quite fun. Anyway, have we got any more? Oh yes.
Go on to leader class, which funnily enough, I think somebody's picked that as their bot of the year. And I know we're going to talk about Unicron because somebody else has picked that as their bot of the year. But I never saw this, and didn't even know this existed till not very recent, but way after the time. And I kind of want one just because it's green and black Unicron, and I have a thing for Unicron toys. So at some point I may fall down that rabbit hole and pick that up.
Yeah, it's funny because we'll go for what, nearly 20 years without a Unicron figure, and then we get two in 1 year.
And then he's got three. There's 4 versions of that mold, I think.
There's quite a few.
There's 2 kind of 20th anniversary ones, a Takara one and an American one.
They've definitely got their money out of that mold,
which is it's fine because it's a fun mold.
Yeah.
So so let's move on then. Let's talk about Unicron. And let's do our bots of the year. So I am going with Unicron now. Firstly, he is the first officially released Unicron. I do think of the 2 unreleased, I think the Beast Wars 2 Unicron would have been the best figure. I think that's gorgeous. I know a third party tried to release it a couple of years ago, and I would have bought that because it's just gorgeous. But for what this was coming out, I thought this was fantastic. I remember just being so excited. I couldn't get it when it actually launched. I got it. I got a new job after being unemployed for the majority of the year. I got a new job in November of 2003, and I hunted it down and picked it up and was extremely happy with it. And I just think it's so much fun for a toy. The cool thing for me, and not enjoying Armada, but I thought this was cool, was that you could put all the mini cons around his ring.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, that just made me giggle like in a pure childhood way. But for a long time, this was the Unicron that I had on my shelves, and I wish I hadn't got rid of this version of it. I gave it to a friend who was had always wanted it. He hadn't been able to get it, so I was glad of being able to supply somebody with an experience like that. But I kind of, just for a completism, I kind of could quite happily buy another version of this, even though I've got the more movie version of it from Amazon. There's something about the clear fun of this.
Yeah. He has. I mean, it's a great figure. It's so nice to have a unicorn. He's a big chunksome thing. I remember showing him to people who only had a passing interest in Transformers, but remembered the movies. Like, look, it's Unicron. It's amazing. The there are issues with it. It's not really the best it could be. I think the fact that his legs are just there on the under half, so he's not a complete planet. But that's twofold issues with A, the limitations of the tech at the time, and B, the fact that he's chock full of gimmicks. So many wonderful gimmicks. There's various places to stick minicons, various places to hide minicons. His chest opens up and he launches a giant missile, as all Unicrons should. He's got missiles that fire out of his legs. His eyes light up. His hand lights up inexplicably. Yeah, it's chock full of fun features. So not only have you got this amazing massive toy, but you've also got just so many fun things to play with. So it's very clear that it was aimed at people who remember Unicron as a kid, collectors, but at the same time it's a fun figure that parents are going to buy for their kids because it's got so much amazing play value. Yeah.
And I think like you talked about when you said about Ironhide, you talked about the aspect of just chucking names. Let's chuck G1 names on on figures that don't really. This is the first Unicron toy. Imagine they had done a Unicron toy and it just wasn't. It was something, it was a truck. You'd be like, and you also have different styles of Unicrons going forward, and like Prime and stuff. But if you're going to do your first ever Unicron toy, it had to be a planet. And actually, this is a decent, a very decent version of it. And I know a lot of people still hold the Amazon version as their Unicron. They didn't do the
They resculpted the head, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is. This is really good. Takes that really good mold and just tweaks all the right bits to give it a kind of really good vibe to it.
Yeah.
So let's move on. Oh, you know what the detail that I loved on this, just simple bit, is the abs, the red abs just jumped out like from the movie. Simple bits like that. I remember first getting it and having that going through it and going, what's movie inspired clearly, and I hadn't seen Armada, so I took the red light up hand to be something from the show, which I never got into watching, so I didn't know that. But let's move on then to your bot of the year. Shock horror.
It's an Optimus Prime. Now I didn't do Armada Optimus Prime, or did I? No, maybe I did. I can't remember.
No, I think you did.
No. Well, I did Energon one. Energon actually took me a little bit of time to get, even though he was out this year. I did and ah about him because I didn't like it. It's a bit, I don't know. I didn't like the idea that he was a combined mode, but all of the vehicles weren't separate things. They were just drones. But anyway, I got over that quite quickly and bought it. But it's just a fun figure. As I said, I quickly got over my misgivings about it once I had it in hand. He does often get known as Optimus Prime because of his girthy barrel shaped body. Yeah, dad bod. There we go. That's the politest way of putting it, I think. But he's actually really cool. It's quite simple the way he combines with the other bots, but the trailer with the sort of Thunderbird-esques, a sort of team of rescue vehicles, and his actual combined mode it's just wonderful. I've got the fans hobby version as well, and that's just gorgeous. But also, the Matrix opens up on his chest. I don't know whether you should really be wandering around. Well, I mean, sorry, that thing opens up in his chest, and it's clearly inspired by the Matrix.
Biometrics.
You've got the handles on the side, and you've
Yeah,
got
yeah, yeah. I can
and
see
it
that.
lights up. The flip over giant head. Uh, it's a really, really fun figure, and it's imposing, and it looks great, and it combines with not Ultra Magnus, Omega Supreme, which is also amazing. It's a great fun figure after my original misgivings. And his trailer, which does look daft, with that weird wedge shape that is exactly the opposite you'd want for aerodynamics. I mean, you try and drive down a motorway with it wedged that way, all the air's going to go under, pinging the trailer off the back of him. Stupid. But it does turn into a base mode, and you've got all the slots where the different things fit, and there's a flip down helipad. It's cool. It's cool. It's a great figure, and I really like it now, not when I didn't buy it the first time I saw it.
No, I've never experienced it, and I probably would like to experience it, and I would be willing to pick it up. I probably wait till they do a legacy version. I did that with the Cybertron. Obviously didn't have that the original toy, but I picked up their kind of modern version. But it does look fun. I remember at this point thinking, are we just doing like Power Rangers? What's going on here?
It is a
just
bit
didn't
Power
click with
Rangers, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay, so that's all our toys for the year, and pretty much wraps us up, and gets us to the end of the time. It's an interesting year. You know, we are going to get really busy with toys, and we've talked about how we're going to handle that and how we're going to handle the kind of future format of the show, because actually it's just going to get busier and busier and busier. So we'll be working on that in the weeks to come. But I hope you enjoyed a look back at 2003. You know, you're probably like me. There'll be people out there who haven't experienced a lot of the stuff from this era. And the thing I would say to people like that, like me, is start to pick these up, enjoy them. Like TFN, you've just passed, so it's this. Well, we will before you maybe get a chance to do it. But you can get a lot of these toys pretty cheap, and it is fun to just experience fun new molds. You know, there are things in there that I picked up at auto assemblies, never mind current PFNs, auto assemblies that I just looked at and went, that's fun. The Energon Starscream, like you talked about, you know, that is one of my favorite Starscream modes, and I had no interest in it. I just picked it up because it was cheap and suddenly fell in love with it. So, you know, as we go through this, we get through the years, there'll be lots of toys that people have missed out, and I hope that us looking at them gives them a chance to think, actually, I'd like to grab that and experience that. But you know, we've got many more years to go. We're not even halfway through yet. You know, we're good kind of number of weeks through, number of years through, but still got a lot to go through, a lot of toys to go through. So please ensure you like, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Don't miss out anything in this incredible journey. And remember, we do produce many weekly episodes. You know, we do Talking Robots, we do some retro reviews. Now we've got 73 primes to go. We'll have lots of prime time with Oddimus as he talks through, you know, the 5 or 6 Optimus Primes he has. So make sure you subscribe and keep up to date with it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Simon, for joining me. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.